will be introduced by Mike Chapman.
You know, I drove up here with two real Iowa legends, Bob Siddons and Don Huff, and it doesn't get any better than that as far as I'm concerned. About 10 years ago, Sports Illustrated ranked all the high school athletic events and ranked the Iowa High School Athletic Tournament as the #1 high school event in the United States. Would you do me a favor? Would everybody in this room who's won a state wrestling title please stand up? Come on, everybody who's won an Iowa State High School wrestling title, stand up. Very, very cool. You guys will have that title with you the rest of your life. It's something that the rest of us can only dream of. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize Don Gooder once again. I don't know if you realize how much effort and time and energy it takes to develop something like this Hall of Fame and keep it running all through the years. And it's his perseverance and his determination. I'm a huge Don Gooder fan, and Dan Gable, you're exactly right. When I started the International Wrestling Institute and Museum in Newton 12 years ago, I told Dan that we wanted to have an Iowa High School or an Iowa Wrestling Hall of Fame too. He said there's already one in Cresco, and I said we'll be a little bit different, and we are a little bit different. And Dan got Don and I together in a room, and we talked about it and worked everything out. And I think there's plenty of room in the state for two great Hall of Fames. And Don, thanks for being so gracious and allowing us to be a part of this great tradition too. You've done a remarkable job up here, and I'm so proud to see you get this Founders Award. Can you hear me back there? And Tom Ketterman. I'd like to say, you know, I have quite a Gilbertville, Don Bosco angle too. 45 years ago, I married a Don Bosco basketball cheerleader named Bev Ryder, and became very close to that family. And I took Doug Ryder to his first ever high school wrestling tournament. Doug is sitting out there right now, he and Janet, and with them is one of the only two four-time state champions from the same family in Iowa history. Will Bart, Doug, and Janet Ryder all stand up, please? So who was Nat Pendleton? He was born in Davenport, Iowa in 1895. He only lived in Iowa for 2 years. He moved out to New York, but he learned how to wrestle from a Farmer Burns Frank Gotch manual. He always said that the big impetus to his career was that he came from Iowa, the wrestling state. I'm sitting there with Tom Brands, and I told Tom, you know, next week I'm going to be in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania, handing out the Dan Hodge Trophy to a Penn State wrestler by the name of David Taylor. I created the Dan Hodge Trophy 20 years ago because I wanted wrestling to have something like a Heisman Trophy. Tom said to me, that's a great choice. That's about as good a wrestler as I've seen in years. Tom, do I have your permission to say that at the banquet next week?
No.
What do you say, Bart? I didn't quite hear that. But if there would have been a Hodge Trophy in 1915, Nat Pendleton would have won it. He went to Columbia University. He never lost in college. He won the Eastern Intercollegiate 3 straight years. That was the biggest tournament in the country back then. The NCAA had not started yet. He was a pinner. Gable would have loved him. Brands would have loved him. Schwab would have loved him. He pinned. He always went for the pin. He won 3 AAU national titles, and in 1920 he went to Antwerp, Belgium, and he got a silver medal in the Olympics. Now, I've read all the reports from the Olympics. 3 or 4 of his teammates and the coach, George Pinio, said it was the worst decision they ever saw in the Olympics, that Nat Pendleton should have been an Olympic champion. He graduated from Columbia University with a degree in economics. He wrestled pro for 2 years, hurt his ankle very bad, then moved to Hollywood. He made 85 movies. I saw one just 3 weeks ago called Buck Privates. It's about World War II and the comedy team of Bud Abbott, Lou Costello, and Nat Pendleton are the stars. So if you ever see Buck Privates, be sure and watch it. It's really good. He also starred in a movie called The Great Ziegfeld, in which he played the legendary strongman and wrestler Eugene Sandow. Nat Pendleton spoke 5 languages, was extremely intelligent, like most of the wrestlers in this room. I don't know if we can speak 5 languages, different languages all combined all this. Had a great career, never had any children. He and his wife came to the San Diego Open Wrestling Tournament every year for 15 years, and I was figuring about a year ago, I wrestled in that tournament twice when I was in the Navy, and I looked back and Nat Pendleton was probably sitting in the stands watching one of my matches. Nat Pendleton is truly one of the greatest wrestlers in American history, and I think it's wonderful that Cresco is honoring him here tonight. How about a big hand for Nat Pendleton? And I want to close on a very solemn note. I created a magazine called Iowa History Journal, and this issue has a fellow on the cover by the name of Dr. Norman Borlaug. Born and raised here in Cresco, finished second in the state tournament in 1933, wrestled at the University of Minnesota. Just last week, a statue in his image was unveiled in Washington, D.C. Norman Borlaug is credited with saving 1 billion lives through his development of wheat. Not 1 million, not 500 million, 1 billion lives. And in 2003, I was at a big event in Washington, D.C. Dan Gable was there too, my wife was there. And Dr. Borlaug from Cresco, Iowa stood up and he said, anything I ever accomplished in science, I owe to wrestling. Because wrestling is nothing but failing and getting up and trying again, over and over and over and over. I don't care how great you are, you get taken down, you get beaten up, but you get up and you keep going. And he said that's exactly what science is. I learned from wrestling how to keep going and how to keep working and how to keep striving. And that's how Norman Borlaug of Cresco, Iowa saved 1 billion lives. How about a big hand for Dr. Norman Borlaug? Thank you very much.
Thank you.